Welcome, Jim Morningstar, to the 15th Annual Global Oneness Summit. We are so grateful that you agreed to be a panelist for Breathwork.
Mm.
Our breath is our very best friend, and I'm not exactly sure, but I think this is the first time we've ever had a Breathwork panel on the summit.
Mm.
So I just want to let our audience know I've known Jim for many, many years. He's been one of my first breathwork teachers, and I wish he had been my breathwork teacher when I was a little kid. Um, but anyway, Jim is the Director of Transformations Incorporated. He has held a license in clinical psychology since 1973. He's a clinical supervisor, a senior seminar leader, has pioneered the integration of psychotherapy with such mind-body techniques as breathwork and biospiritual energetics. He founded the School of Integrative Psychology in 1980 and the Transformations Breathwork training program in 1990. He has authored 4 books in the field of spiritual psychology. He is co-director of the Global Professional Breathwork Alliance and the founder of In Wellness. And this is in Jim's words, my work is to help others feel fully alive. So much of what I share with others comes from nature, the earth, and all that lives upon and within it.
Mm.
Thank you, Jim.
You are so
And
welcome. This is truly an honor to be sharing with you about the breath, my favorite thing in the world to share about.
mine too. And, I just love your insight and, your weekly breathwork things that you put on YouTube. I like listening to those. Um, the one that I think it was last week, The Janitor Within, um, I love the insight. You said, thought is creative and you are a thinker. Responsibility means I accept the way I am. Particles respond to love. Can you speak to that a little bit, Jim?
Well, absolutely. It has amazed me the more in depth I've gone to the study of breath work, not just on the spiritual and esoteric level, but on the actual physical level. What is happening as we breathe? And I recognize that 1 million particles are emitted with every exhale. We take in 1 million particles with every inhale. They go through our entire system. They go down, way down to the mitochondria in every cell in our body. And then as we exhale, we send them out. Now, of course, there's an oxygen CO2 exchange that goes on, but our imprint, our love is within every exhale. And we are sharing this. It's the universal language. We are sharing the same particles that have been breathed by Buddha, by Christ, by all of the saints and sinners throughout the entire time of human history. And every breath we take contributes to the energetic quality of what we share as humans on the planet. And in my study of this, I recognized conscious connected breathing is not just we're breathing, because we're breathing all the time, but we're making it more conscious, which means if we heighten our consciousness, we realize we are love. It's not a product that we have or something that we achieve or can just share occasionally when we're in the right mood. Love is the substance, the magnetic substance, which holds the universe together. And as we breathe from that place, we are admitting love and we're contributing to the uplifting of consciousness on the planet. And that's why I love the humanities team concept, is that we are on the same team. When we recognize that, then we're not operating from the brain, which is like a computer. It is binary, dividing things into good, bad, right, wrong, so on. It doesn't have the capacity for unitary consciousness. And we are not our brain. We are not our mind. We are gifted with those tools, if you will. But until we come back to source and until we are breathing from source, we're continually in a makeup game. Okay, I'm not good enough. I'm not, in other words, we're in the lack consciousness of the mind. And if I am not one with God, well, then I've got to do something to get better. And we're continually um, operating from a sense of not enoughness. Now, conscious connected breathing does not mean that, oh, now all of a sudden we're completely enlightened and we everything is rosy. And no, I have challenges every day just like you and every one of us. But I recognize that since I have practiced and have committed myself to conscious connected breathing every day, how I approach these challenges is qualitatively different. And that's what we are here to share with others on the planet. We're here to invite them back to the Garden of Eden.
Yes. And can you share what led you to form Transformations Incorporated?
Well, it was in a way a response to all of the gifts that I had been given on my own personal journey. Gifts that I had been given uh, by breath workers, but all other spiritual teachers. Alexander Lowen, for example, who was a psychiatrist that started bioenergetics. He had a great respect for breath as being really the essence of what initiates healing in ourselves. So there had been a series of teachers and experiences that enlightenment intensives, things that I had gone through that I recognized I want to pass this on. I would like to share with the world the gifts that I had been given. It was actually my wife that came up with the name Transformations Incorporated. In fact, she's pioneered in many things in my life. And
I love the
and
name.
what I loved about it is, yes, it's not just a formal name that you give to a organization. It means what it says. It's incorporating, bringing the transformations into our body. Yeah.
Yes,
And so that's where the name came from. And that's what has set me off on this journey. And even the way I teach breath work is always to incorporate it with other skills that you have. It's not like, oh, you do breath work and then everything else is irrelevant. No, no. Breath work informs and enhances whatever healing skills you have. And so I'm a great proponent of it's not a one size fits all. You just breathe this particular way and that's the pathway to salvation. No, we're learning. I don't believe that I can teach anyone breath work. I can set the stage for people to experiment, explore, and discover their unique connection to the spirit of breath. And then it's theirs. Then it's not they have to come back every time they feel bothered or like things are not going right. They have that passport directly to source, which is right under our nose.
exactly. And I can attest to that because it's many, many years since I think I took 2 or 3 breathwork courses with you, and they did transform my life. They reminded me of who I am. I am that I am. And when we learn to love ourselves truly, then we learn to love everything around us truly, without expectation of gain. And that's how we transform the world.
Again, it's what I love about humanity's team is that we're coming back to leveling the playing field. This is not a hierarchical. There are some people who've got it and the rest don't. We all have
No,
it. And we're all on the road to waking up and reclaiming what is our birthright.
exactly. And can you share, like you are a pioneer of breathwork, so can you share a bit about that?
Well, I had been on the road to, say, enhancing my spiritual awareness through doing a number of things, including the bioenergetics, which I mentioned, but also taking Tai Chi, other things that were body oriented. And one day we had been flying. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is in the middle of the United States. And we had been flying in a teacher from New York City to teach us Tai Chi. He was a student of Chen Men Cheng, one of the original people that came from China to bring some of the Eastern arts to the United States. And he shared with us in his class that he had discovered a technique called rebirthing, and he highly recommended that we try it out. Well, just at that time in my life, my wife and I had purchased a house, and it was a little larger than we were used to. As students, we were always cramped, living in a little apartment, and then we had this big house, and we said, well, we're going to dedicate a floor of the house to traveling teachers, people that come. So we invited the first teachers to the Midwest of breathwork to come and stay at our house. And oh, that was, of course, a great um, awakening for not only Joan and myself, but for our whole community as we began to share breathwork. In fact, the second after my second breathwork session, I went back to my ordinary Monday evening bioenergetics class, and the woman spontaneously laid down on the ground and started connected breathing. Now, I could tell her to stop that, or I could say, wait a minute, this is just what I had been coached in. And so I then coached her how to stay connected with her breath, and she came out wonderfully. And and I recognize, well, that doesn't make me now an instant breath worker. It opens the door. So I went and studied as much as I could with everyone. Leonard Orr being one of the principal folks at that time. And we put her whole family on a plane and we went to California and the East Coast, and then eventually brought it and started the center here in the Midwest. But it has, I like to think I was kind of wise guy, uh, a little brash in those days. And I thought, well, this is very interesting. I'll be on to something else, next year. Well, I have never found the limits to where breath can take me. I've never explored the entire heights or depths to where breath work can go. So I am a lifelong student of the breath, committed to being a student and a teacher, which I think we all are. I figure if I have done a session with someone and I haven't learned from that, if I haven't been educated by the spirit of breath through the person with whom I'm working, then I wasn't paying attention. But that's the beauty then. We start to walk through life not seeing the enlightened or the unenlightened. We see everyone in our life as a teacher. Sometimes the teaching is what not to do, what to avoid, but everyone is given to us by the spirit of breath or by the universe itself, from whom to learn and grow as well as to teach and share.
Exactly. And I don't know if you know of Patricia Cota Robles and Era of Peace, but she's a dear, dear friend of Humanity's team. And I was fortunate enough to go down to her conference on illumination 11 years ago. And this year is going to be her 38th and final conference. But in one of her most recent vlogs, she talked about the breath. And she said, perfect balance, elevated holy breath of our Father, Mother, God. Our breath is our direct connection to our God parents. And I think that's what you teach. I see you hugging a tree, leaning up against a tree, knowing that you and the tree are one.
Yes, how beautifully put. What a wonderful quote from her, because as we surrender to the breath, we know that we walk down the road of life with the yin and the yang. And it's not until we're balanced with our yin and yang. It's like having 2 feet. You know, we take a step with the yin. So we have goals. We know that there's things to do, that there's a purpose here, that we have work to do and we have play to engage in. But then we step back and we surrender and we experience what it is that's just the joy of doing nothing other of earthly value than being and breathing. Because if we get into the kind of the Protestant ethic, do, we get stuck in our do, and we're hopping down the road of life on one leg, which is exhausting. You know, so that's why the daily balance of yin and yang, and every breath is the symbol of that. We take a breath. We don't wait for a breath to come along. We take a breath, and then we must surrender, and then we must let go. Because if we keep holding on, we never learn how to completely exhale. We never learn how to completely trust that there'll be more for us if we completely surrender. So,
And one thing that I learned from you was to allow each out breath to end in death. So each in breath sees us born anew, brand new, and present to the presence of love that is here now.
yes.
And I thank you for that, Jim.
Oh, I thank you for owning it, because I see that you have carried it and you teach it. And that has been my hope. In my last birthday, 78 years old, I was thinking, well, maybe it's time to kind of hang up the spurs and to retire. And the resounding message came, nope, more to do, more joy to share. And what you have to learn is to accept help and to surrender. And so my mission now has been community. Not I start communities everywhere, but I support teachers to start their own communities. And then there's not a hierarchy of one community and all of its offshoots or affiliates or franchises. It is a network of communities now around the planet.
Yes. And Jim, I'd like to spend the last 10 or so minutes. Humanity's nervous system is really overstimulated right now. There's a lot of anxiety in the field and fear. And could you please lead us? But before you lead us in some calming breathwork practices, can you tell people how to be in touch with you? Like, I know I get a weekly email from you with some breathwork. I like this week's one, The Snake in the Garden, and I can't wait to see the sequel, part two. But could you tell people how to get in touch with you?
Sure, my email address, and I leave this wide open. Anyone can email me at any time. It's Jim at transformationsusa.com. Just like it sounds, transformationsusa.com. And also, transformationsusa .com is our website. So you can go on the website, and I decided a few years ago that it was time to give stuff away. I've got 3 years worth of, I did 33 years at School of Integrative Psychology. And I said, what am I sitting here with all these courses for? So I started putting them on YouTube. And now we got 450 free YouTube videos. I want it out there. I want people to be able to share it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so let's do this. This is one of my favorite, and I was so happy that you suggested that we do some actual practice together today, because this I know how to start and set it up, but always surprises come along as we do this. So I'm going to ask you and us all to get ourselves comfortably situated with our spine relatively straight, but not rigid, just relatively comfortably straight. And if you're okay with it, let your eyes close. If not, just focus on something in the room you're in. Let your eyes close and go to the base of your spine. Imagine there a ball of light, radiant energy, which is this is your kundalini, your life force given to you by Creator, with which to sustain your body and mind in peace and harmony. Now, just as a little extra bonus, notice what color that ball of light energy is for you today. There's no right or wrong colors, but let it come to you intuitively, whatever color that is, as you inhale. Now bring that ball of light energy slowly up your back to the top of your head on the inhale, and on the exhale, let it come down the front of your body back to the base of your spine. And keep that going now. Inhaling slowly, sending a light, nurturing energy to every vertebrae and all of the nerve fibers going out from those vertebrae to every cell of your body. And then as you exhale, surrender and let a light and vibrant energy go to every vital organ in your body. And this is what you were alluding to about our nervous systems needing the time and the space to be brought back into harmony. And the breath is a master harmonizer. Now, as you continue to breathe up the back to the top of your head on the inhale and down the front of your body, back to the base of your spine on the exhale, you are creating a cocoon of light energy, which is your sanctuary. Your breath and your intention is now commanding the particles of the universe to create a sanctuary within which you are safe and more directly able to connect to your source. Continue this easy and gentle breathing. And then, if you would, put your attention in your heart area, which is the inner sanctum, as it were, of this sanctuary. It's the nucleus of this cocoon that you've created. And as you breathe into your heart, know that this is a sacred space for you to listen to and commune with your source. As you breathe into your heart, ask the question from your heart, what is it important for me to take away from this little time that we have shared together? What is important for me to own about my own breath and my own purpose in this life? Now listen with your heart. Your mind always is making a commentary on everything, of course, that's what it's trained to do, but ask it to step aside for a moment and listen with your heart to what comes from your guidance. Okay. And now let's play a little bit. Let's just take a moment to extend this zone of safety that we have initiated for ourselves. And on the exhale, as you exhale, let your breath go out in front of you to create a bigger and bigger sanctuary until, as you exhale, you send your breath all the way around the planet to the opposite side of the earth. And as you inhale, you bring it up from the opposite side of the earth, up your back again to the top of your head. And 3 times now, continue to exhale, sending your breath around the planet, blessing every sentient being with your holy intention, and coming back knowing that what you send out is what comes back to you. You are in communion and blessed with all who breathe. And everything breathes, including the mountains and the trees. And again, send it out like a tidal wave. Your breath just goes out around the planet with your blessing. And as you inhale, you bring it back up to the top of your head. And one more time, send it out. And now come back just to your body and suggest to yourself that this little exercise of creating the cocoon of safety is something that you will remember and you will use as needed every day. Let's thank the Spirit of Breath for bringing us together and giving us this gift of sharing.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. That was beautiful. And I think trees are some of the most intelligent beings on this planet, how they all support each other.
I,
And we're growing towards that.
oh, yes. I connect with trees every day.
Yeah. I've seen you leaning up against a tree and giving it a hug. I'm a tree hugger too.
Thank you so much for organizing, for bringing this together, and for sharing your light. I can just see it in your smile.
Yes, I can see it in yours as well. And, you know, I'm so grateful that there's an initiative going on to teach children. And just in our last minute or so, can you share about that?
Yes, the International Breathwork Foundation has made a connection with the United Nations. And part of that connection is in teaching breathwork in the classroom. Because
Yeah.
now, breathwork to children is not the same as breathwork to adults. They don't look down and do an hour's breathwork session and look at their past, or they have fun with it, but they're energized by it. And you can see that.
Yes, I,
And they've even studied what techniques and what games and what ways to play with breath are right for children at different ages. This is
exactly.
magnificent. Uh,
It is
yeah.
magnificent. And I'm very, very, very grateful for this initiative. I'm very grateful for, the flowering of unity consciousness. I am so grateful. And we're down to our last 30 seconds. So I'm going to give you a hug, Jim. Other way, I'm going to hug you and I'm going to thank you and I'm going to bless you.
And blessings to you.
Kristen.